All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome or welcome back. I'm Stasia. This is my channel. If you didn't know, today we will be talking about Sips and Strokes by Sarah Skye, written by these two lovely ladies. We read it in May for our book club. We'll do a mix of just like general author questions, as well as some more specifically about the book. So, yeah, if you guys wanted to give a little introduction about yourselves, maybe some books that you've written, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, so I'm the Sarah part of Sarah Skye. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us. Um, in addition to the books that I've written with Skye as Sarah Skye, I write steamy rom-coms and romances as Sarah Smith and Sarah Smith. I have a ton of books out. You can find them all on Amazon. I'm not going to bore you and list them, but if you're curious, yeah, I'm Sarah Smith on Amazon. You can find all of my steamy rom coms on there.
And I'm Skye McDonald. Thank you so much for having us on. I write romances to make you laugh, cry, and swoon. I'm also a speaker, a coach, and I run a women's group. So I do quite a few different things, but mostly author and speaker. And I am currently working with contemporary romance as well. Outside of the Sarah Skye trio that we have created, I have the Antebelle series, which are contemporary standalone books set in Nashville, Tennessee, which is my hometown. And my current project is a hockey romance series set in a fictional town in Connecticut. And I'm also a publisher. So yeah, that's I live in New Jersey, so Sarah and I are bicoastal. We say bicoastal friends for life, as well as partners in this writing game. So yeah, I'm here in New Jersey.
All right, we've got a little bit of everything going on. Um, so first, we'll talk about more of like the author stuff, in case anyone's on and hasn't read the book yet and wouldn't want to be spoiled or anything. But do you guys have any books, authors, maybe even movies, any sort of creators where you guys have ever drawn inspiration from, or how does that look for you guys? Do you guys have any big inspirations?
Um, are you, first of all, to clarify, are you asking for Sips and Strokes specifically? Or are you asking like just in general for our process?
In general, like anything in your writing career where you're just like, this author really like brought inspiration out of me, just like writing in general.
I try not to do that. I actually don't read romance when I'm writing romance because I feel like it muddies the waters. I certainly have my like favorite authors, Sarah being one of them, of course. And but I prefer to read thrillers when I'm writing or when I'm in the process. So I definitely have places where I thought, well, this is a great book, but I try not to pull on that too much. I definitely do love music and songs, and the lyrics of songs will definitely kind of steep into my brain as I'm writing and help kind of pull out a little bit more complexity into characters or sort of enhance a theme of either a scene or a book, for sure.
I'm kind of the opposite of Skye. I'm all I do is read and write romance. So I'm like constantly like my brain is constantly picking up on whatever romance book I'm reading at the time. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Skye, of course, when it comes to romance authors. But I also love, like, I love Samantha Young. I love Sally Thorne. I've loved a lot of like indie romance authors as well, like Stephanie Archer. I've also really, really enjoyed reading and connecting with other Filipino American authors like Tiff Marcello and Mia Hopkins, Maida Malby, Mon Gabriel. Like, just I'm just kind of all over the place, but it's always rooted in romance, I guess, is where I get is where I get my inspiration from.
That's good. That's good.
Right,
I
and
think
spoiler,
it's
we are
interesting
delightfully
that
different.
music kind of speaks to you a lot, Skye, because I know like a really big thing. What was that? Sorry, I think it cut it off really a little
It's
bit.
okay. I was just saying, in case you haven't already told off the bat, Sarah and I are delightfully different. We are very complimentary of each other, and I love that.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's nice. You guys are like different, but I mean, the writing was still like super cohesive in where you couldn't even see like who started and because at first we didn't even know it was a duo until like we looked into it more and we're like, oh, the
Good.
writing like mended so nicely that you can't like sometimes you can tell like, all right, this was this author's part and this was this author's part, but we thought that it mended really, really nicely.
Great.
So that's
Sorry, you were
nice.
talking about music. We'll get back to the sips and strokes. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean live shows they're sometimes hard. I was just saying it's interesting how you like find some inspiration from music because I feel like a trend nowadays is like the whole playlist in books sort of thing going on and I see like that a lot and I like music so I'm like it's nice when I guess authors are like, oh, like this song reminds me of this character. Like I like making those connections between like books and music. So it's interesting that that's a big inspiration for you versus books and authors.
Yeah. Specifically, when I started working with my Nashville series, it was like it has to have music in it. You know, Nashville is Music City, USA. So like you just have to do like justice to that. But even now, like my new release that's coming out, I have a very specific playlist for it, and it really did kind of help drive and sort of color some of the depth of the characters. I would say I really enjoy that.
Yeah, that's nice. Apart from like inspiration, do you guys have any like specific tropes that you like to write or maybe even stay away from?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot actually. So I love like I love enemies to lovers or any iteration of enemies to lovers, like rivals to lovers, competitors to lovers, dislike to lovers, anything like that. I'm a huge fan of. I also love fake relationship, obviously, because that's always fun and that's right. That's sips and strokes. That's super popular in romance currently. I I didn't okay, so as far as, like, tropes that I wouldn't write, um, there are just some that I just don't, like, feel comfortable because they just give me the ick. Like, I don't really like bully romances, that kind of thing, or certain kinds of taboo, like, that has to do with, and I don't know what like what words are gonna get flagged on YouTube, so I won't say it, but like illegal things, like things that are illegal or things anything to do with people that you're related to, anything that's like dub con where the consent isn't clear and enthusiastic. I just don't do anything like that.
I also love any kind
That's
of
fair.
dislike to love. Yeah. Sarah and I, this is a place where we're very much a vibe. That I like any kind of dislike to love as long as I can tell that they actually really do care for and want each other. Like I'm a little bit fussy with it. But I do love like somehow opposites attract, grumpy sunshine. Like there's just, you don't think that they're going to work and they're perfect. I love that. I will tell you one I don't write, and I'm sorry. I know people love this one, and I'm not trying to yuck your yum. I don't do secret baby. I don't do anything that has to do with like a baby being a plot piece that somehow either drives them apart or brings them together. I do have a single parent romance, and the kids are fine, but that the secret baby, no, thank you. Sorry.
No, that's fair. That's understand. I also have. I think I read a few bullies before, and I was like, it's kind of not my thing. So I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you guys. I secret baby or like a forced accidental pregnancy is also not my thing. So I feel like we're kind of on the same level that way. I will say I'm growing apart from enemies to lovers. I think I'm becoming more of a friends to lovers girl, where I'm kind of like, I want you guys to already have like a nice, sweet foundation and grow off of that. Which I know some people are like, friends to lovers are so boring, but I'm like, that kind of has my heart lately.
I had a hard time when I wrote a friends to lovers, like a pure friends to lovers. I had a hard time like trying to kick it over. Like it was like, but why are they apart? Right? Like why aren't they in love? But if you can get it going, if there's like a premise that makes sense, it is really nice. And Sarah and I have talked about this before too. And I remember a long time ago we did a whole thing about how did you meet your person in real life? And a lot of people in friends to lovers is very normal and very like delightfully common in reality. So I do think taking advantage of that totally makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, totally. And I'm with you, Stasia. I actually, when I first started like writing and reading a lot of romance, I didn't love Friends to Lovers, and I love it now. I love writing it. So I still love my enemies to lovers, but I love Friends to Lovers a lot more than I did. It's just really like sweet and relatable. Like Skye said, like that is much more like relatable and realistic than like, oh, I met this guy and I hated him for like a year and then we fell in love. Like I don't think I hear that as much in real life as I do like, oh, we were really good friends and then just one day we thought we'd give it a shot, and it's amazing being together like that. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So we mentioned earlier that you guys are bi-coastal. You guys don't live super close. So how does that affect or change your guys' writing process in terms of when you guys are writing alone?
Wait, what do you mean when we're writing like when we're working on a project together?
Yeah, like when you guys are working on a project together versus when you're writing like a book for your own series or
Well, one of the big assets that we have is that Sarah is an extreme night owl and I am an extreme morning lark. So
okay.
very often when we're working on a project together, we're having a conversation on her, say like Tuesday night and my Wednesday morning. So it'll be like 5 a.m. my time and she's still up. So that's actually been very good for like being able to cross communicate after like a writing sprint, for example, because I also write in the morning. And I know, Sarah, you pretty much, I mean, it's a full-time job, but you do good work at night. So in terms of like our time together, that actually ends up working and we just kind of trade it out. I would say when I'm working on projects by myself, I am a lot more relaxed with I'm not even relaxed with my deadlines. It's about the same. It's just I'm not having to turn in a chapter to somebody. So like if I end up kind of going a different way or needing to go backwards, I'm not as worried about it, but I'm still working on a deadline. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's similar for me in that, I mean, because even if you are working with a writing partner, the act of writing itself is pretty solitary. So, I mean, like when Skye and I are writing a Sarah Skye book together, like we always like we call each other frequently, multiple times, not necessarily every day, because it just depends on like what we're working on and how long it's taking us to write our respective chapters. But like we're always in constant communication. We're texting a lot. We have our text on our like phone, but we also have like Instagram like conversations that are happening at the same time and TikTok conversations that are happening in tandem. But yeah, like it's really, I just think we have a really compatible work or writing style. Like we can discuss what we want to have happen in the chapters that we're going to write. We usually take it that like, like we discuss what plot points are going to happen in the story coming forward. We'll write I'll write a chapter, she'll write the next chapter, and then I'll write the next, and then like we'll hop on the phone or text or whatever to figure out what the next chunk is going to go, and then just write it on our own. And like we do it all in a Google Doc so we can read what each other has written in that first draft. And it it works really well for me, and it's really similar to how I write when I'm working on my own individual books. Like I take things chunk by chunk. I mean, it's a romance, so you know what plot points and what tropes you're going to hit, obviously. But I like to, I write whatever I have in my mind for these few scenes in these next few chapters, and then I'll, stop, read it over, make sure it all makes sense, and then plan out the next chunk. So I just think we're just really compatible, even though we don't live, even though I'm in the Pacific Northwest and she's on the East Coast, like we don't live anywhere near each other. Like I think we just have really compatible writing and work styles, and it just works out for us.
Very much.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So we're gonna kind of transition a bit to talk more about Sips and Strokes, which was honestly so fun. It was such like a quick read, and I was like, I love these characters. It was just so easy to root for them. So if you've not read it before, our main characters are Lily and Calder. I believe that's how I've been saying it. Did you guys draw any inspiration from them specifically? I know, Sarah, you said that you are Filipino, which is great. So am I. That's one of the reasons why we chose this book for May, was because it did have like a Filipino main girl, and it was like Asian Pacific Islander month. So that's why we chose it for May. So was there any inspiration for either characters where you guys were kind of like personal experience or, any of that?
Yeah. So for Lily, I wrote Lily's POV and Skye wrote Calder's POV. And for Lily, I didn't have like a particular like personality wise that I was going after, but there's an Australian or Filipino Australian actress, Ann Curtis Smith, I think is her name, and she was like the physical inspo for Lily, just to have, because I think it's important for readers to be able to picture, what a character looks like. I mean, I know some readers want to picture whoever they want, and that's fine too. But it was just, like I'm Filipino American, and I wanted the female main character to be Filipino American too. So she was my main like looks inspo, I guess. And I think like her as a character, I was just kind of going for like that girl / woman next door, that sweet, romance female main character who I think a lot of people can relate to, who, she's kind of a pushover in a way because her family kind of bulldozes her, and her like ex-best friends and people that she grew up with like did that too. So it's just her trying to find her strengths and her voice and advocate for herself throughout the story, which I think she does do. And I think that that's a really relatable experience to go through, especially the character ages that we wrote, which were, I think that they were like 29, 30, around that age. And I think that's an important time that a lot of people, especially when you've grown up being overshadowed and kind of pushed around by other people, you kind of grow up and you hopefully realize how to stand up for yourself, and you hopefully meet people like Calder who encourage that behavior in a relationship.
Yes, whether it be in the back of a wagon on a hayride or not. Calder was he's still one of my favorite characters that I've ever written. He is so fun. I wanted to do something Scottish. I mean, if you look at my name, like clearly I have roots in Scotland. The Isle of Skye is actually where my clan of the McDonald family came from. So my name has a lot of like historical significance. I've been there. I love it. I was actually going to move to Scotland, and then I took a turn and ended up in New Jersey. Didn't say wrong turn. I didn't say wrong. But that happened. But yeah, when it came to writing this, I have never done a Scottish character or anything like that. And I was like, you know what, this is going to be fun. So I just started kind of building him from there. And the cover model thing, I don't know why I thought that would be great. I mean, I knew that we were going to do an art class kind of thing. And I knew Lily was going to be an art teacher. So I think I kind of filled that in. The whiskey thing, There is a guy on Instagram that we both follow who is a whiskey rep for a specific brand. I had met him in real life, and he was a very nice guy, but he was not the inspo for Calder. It just became very
Okay.
funny when you were asking about that, because he became like a whiskey brand rep afterwards, and he is Scottish, and it was like, oh, this is perfect. So it didn't look anything like the way we depicted it, but I guess I just kind of built like somebody who would be really fun, but also not taking himself too seriously,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things that I wanted for Calder, because Lily is very serious and she is trying so hard to be everything to everyone, and he's not a joke. Like, he's very driven, he's got his own insecurities and his own desires, but I didn't want him to be like, I wanted him to be fun. So
Yeah. Which he definitely was. I was like cracking up the whole time. Which kind of brings us to the next question, where it's kind of like they were an opposites attract sort of vibe. Where Calder is kind of more lighthearted and Lily was kind of like more serious, and she had things that she needed to do and kind of, but they both had their own hurdles that they needed the whole fake dating agreement for. But how easy was it for you guys to build these characters together? Because you guys mentioned that you guys each wrote a character. So how was it to like watch and like mend their relationship with them being opposites? And how was that to write them together?
it was shockingly easy,
Okay.
I will say. And I always say this, getting Lily's chapters was a very amusing experience, because it was like reading my own book as it was unfolding. Like, I
Yeah.
was both creating it and so curious what was coming next. And that was a very intriguing like position to be in. But I remember specifically with this one, Sarah, there were many chapters, or there were many like lines that one of us would throw in. It's like, oh my God, that's exactly what I would think that Calder would say. And like, this kind of the way that Sarah would start to set something up. And I was like, that's exactly what I thought we would do next too. It was wildly easy, I would say, especially for Sips and Strokes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I honestly think that's because we like, as readers, I think we enjoy reading this type of romance on our own. And two, I think as writers, like when we're writing our own individual books, like Skye's very first book, Not Suitable for Work, that was like an enemies to lovers office romance. My first book ever that I published was Faker, and that's a similar workplace enemies to lovers romance. So I feel like we just, our background naturally, we're drawn to really similar romance tropes, and I think that made writing together the love story trope in Sips and Strokes so easy, because I think just naturally that's what we were drawn to and that's what we enjoy. And I don't know, I think that there was like an element of just naturally, because we get along and because we have similar work styles, I think, I don't know, maybe our brains were just aligned to work in that way. It's because I think you can all think of like a work situation or a school situation where you had to like work on an assignment or a project with like a partner or a group, and it was just like, kill me, because like the people just
Yeah.
sucked, or like or their personalities were awful, or like somebody was slacking, or somebody was being a control freak, and you're just like, God, can you just let me like work on this? I got this. And I, with Skye, and I assume she didn't feel this way with me. I guess she could have, and she just hit it really well. But I never felt that way writing Sips and Strokes with her in that way, or the subsequent books that we published in that series together as Sarah Skye. Like, it always just, there was just a natural element in that our writing styles lined up, the way that we communicate is really compatible, and just that we enjoy this particular trope of romance. I think it just all lined up that it worked really well together, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, you couldn't tell the chapters apart. Like the flow was very good. So that's
Thank
great.
you.
When it came to building these characters and their romance, did you guys have any scenes that stuck out to you or were just fun to write? I mean, whether it was between them two or them on their own.
I would say the hayride scene was definitely very fun to write, and everybody loves that scene. But I would also say, for me, the opening lines of the book where Calder is like, I'm a surgeon. It's a very, like, that, I crack myself up with that. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I could just imagine, because, you know, like, sometimes, I mean, we love the romance covers, but like, yeah, like sometimes it's like a guy going into surgery without a shirt on, and it's like, this is not. So that opening, and then as you see in the epilogue, like he does it again, like that.
Yeah.
Those were that and the hayride were probably my favorite. Sarah?
Honestly, it was that whole book was really fun to write. Like every scene, every plot point, everything was really fun to write. It's hard for me to think of like, oh, this is my favorite one, but I really liked the practice kissing scene, because I just think that's so like ridiculous, like that, like, does this even happen in real life? But like, it's probably not. But it was just so like cute and sweet, and like very much like, you know, Lily's being herself, being like, we should practice, and Calder's like, yep, let's practice, let's do this.
Well, what about the bananas?
Oh yeah, the banana s'mores. Yeah, that was sweet. Yeah, that's what was so hard, because I liked writing so much of this, but it was such an enjoyable experience, like across the board, that was hard for me to like pinpoint like, oh, my favorite scene ever. Like the banana s'more scene was really sweet. When she's teaching him how to like draw, like, I don't know, a random thing, that was really cute. Like, I don't know, like that book just gave me all the happy feels. And I could flick to a random page and be like, oh, that was fun writing, or that was fun reading Skye's chapter. Like, you know, like just all of it was really, really fun.
The banana s'mores became quite the thing. Like, everybody asked us about that, because Sarah had heard about this on YouTube. I hadn't heard of it. So I was like, okay. But everybody, like any interview we did, people were like, what is this banana s'mores? To the point where we did an IG live where we like actually demonstrated making them. It was very fun, but people had questions. And so I'm pretty sure we put banana desserts into every single one of our trilogy, right? Like every one of the ladies ended up with a banana dessert.
Yeah, no, that was the running thing, bananas. And I felt bad because I was like, I just kind of made it up. It wasn't anything like special to me. It wasn't like a family recipe. It was just like, oh, I saw this and thought this would be cute if they had made like banana s'mores together. And that was it.
I agree. I liked a lot of their moments were like, whether they were being a little bit more serious or it was like lighthearted, there's a lot of great moments between them. Yeah, I'm a very like first impressions person. So like their first meeting where she's like, oh, you're the model. And he's like, yep, I'm ready to go. And she's like, oh, wow. All right. I love that so much. I think that's definitely like one of my favorite moments, just because I feel like, you know, that's where the ball starts rolling. But yeah, she was just Lily being in absolute shock, where she just turns around and he's ready to go. And he's like, isn't this the job? And she's like, well, yeah, but
no, I'm so glad you liked that part. That was a really fun opening first few chapters to write, because I think it showcases their personalities as characters.
yes.
Like Lily's like this very like sweet, like unassuming, demure, and he's like, Calder is just ready to go with his banana hanging out and doesn't even care.
Yeah, I think it definitely set the scene for how their relationship dynamic was going to grow. All right, so that's pretty much all the questions that I have for the book specifically. If you guys wanted to share anything for upcoming books for either of you guys, do we have any like projects together coming, or do we kind of have our trilogy, which I'm definitely going to continue with?
Well, definitely continue with the trilogy, because are you familiar with what comes next?
I don't have them yet, so no, I'm not super sure.
Just to let you know, the main character in the next book is Lily's ex-boyfriend.
Oh,
that's Sarah's doing. We didn't see that one coming. We're really proud of the whole trilogy. We think, it started with Sips and Strokes deep into pandemic lockdown and just wanting to create something joyful. And the trilogy itself, really, it spun out in a way that we're really, really proud of. It is all standalone, but they do build. So all the characters that are going to come forward are going to have their own story. And you'll see Lillian Calder again, but we're really proud of that one. We both have plenty of book projects coming up. I have a book coming out June 25th, a hockey romance that I'm really excited about. It's got some heavier themes in it, but the reviews are saying I'm did okay with that. So it's a fun one. I'm very excited about that. And then I'll wrap up my hockey trilogy. Sarah, do you want to talk about Sarah Skye?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we definitely have some things in the works. Nothing that we can talk about right now, unfortunately. But we'll have something, we're gonna come up with something soon that we can announce on social media. We have an Instagram account. It's at author Sarah Skye. So if you want to know the latest Sarah Skye book news, definitely look there first. But yeah, in the meantime, I think reading the 2 subsequent books and is a good way to pass time if you want, or if you want something different. Skye and I, like she said, we both have a lot of books individually. I just released a hockey romance book last week. It's called Fake as Puck. So for all you hockey romance lovers, if you need some hockey filth, that's something that you can read. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely want, it's hard to say because you don't want to give everything away, but you want to just tease it, but you don't want to leave people waiting forever. So, Sarah Skye is working on something.
Okay.
So just keep your eyes on our Instagram and we will.
Yes, we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled. That's exciting news to hear, though.
We definitely are. And in the meantime, not only are we both deep into our hockey eras with Fake as Puck and Scored On, but we also have a podcast. We podcast regularly. So the Quick and Dirty Romance podcast, we are always there, usually 2 or 3 a month. So yeah, be sure to check that out as well, because that's where we sit around and we talk about tropes and what we do and don't write, and basically what it's like to be a romance author. We've been podcasting for a while and we're starting to have guests on, so that's been very interesting.
That's fun. Well, I'm excited. I'm also a sports girl, so we'll definitely dive into all of those in the meantime. But I think that's all from me. If you guys had any parting messages or words you would like to say, otherwise we can just wrap it up. But thank you so much for joining me here today for a little chat about Sips and Strokes. And as authors, this was both mine and Ryland's first book from either of you guys. But so now that I know that I like the writing, I'm sure I'll dive deep into the backlist too for you guys individually. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, for taking time out of your guys' day. I know it's also Father's Day, so I'm not sure if you guys had other stuff going on. But I do really appreciate you guys hanging out for me or with me for a bit, and maybe we'll do another one in the future when we read another book, possibly. But yeah, so thank you for being here. Happy to have you guys.
Well, we're really honored that you read the book. We're so glad. We never, ever get tired of talking to people about these. And so thank you so much for reaching out and for reading with us. It's been a pleasure to chat with you, Stasia.
Yes, you guys too.
It's been so fun. Thank you for letting us talk about this book that we wrote it all the way back in 2020 and it's 2024 now. So it's a fun little revisit.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And hopefully I will catch you all in a stream